Hi, I'm Nathan Lively from Sound Design Live, and I have this weird camera on so I can show you a closer look inside of my work bag.
The What's in Your Kit series is back, and so is Nathan Lively, coming up next. Thanks for watching. It would be really awesome if you hit the like button and consider subscribing. Please share these videos anywhere you can. Links down below to DcSoundOp.com and everything we talk about in the video. It's great to have another What's in Your Kit video to share, and also to have Nathan Lively back on the channel to show us what tools he's using. As some folks around the world are starting to get back out on jobs, and many friends that I've talked to in the industry have taken on new jobs doing work adjacent to their previous roles, I invite anyone who'd like to share what they're carrying these days to please submit a video. There's a link below for more info, and if your video gets used, I'll send you a $25 Amazon gift card. So whether you're doing AV installations or have moved over to networking and IT, like a lot of people have mentioned, if you're carrying tools to work, it would be great to hear what you're doing and to share your experience with the rest of the group. You probably know Nathan from his work at Sound Design Live, and that he is a system tuning and measurement specialist. He actually has another workshop coming up on April 11th and 12th, where the topics will be focused around placing measurement microphones, how to use crossover filters, and also getting into all-pass filters and how to use those in the real world. These are paid workshops, though this is not a paid ad. You can find details from Nathan linked in the online training resources channel on the DcSoundOp Discord, linked below. Nathan does a wide variety of different work, though, beyond measurement, and his kit has some unique tools that we haven't seen in this series before. Leave a comment and let us know if you've got a different approach or tool that you prefer for tackling any of the jobs he talks about in this video. For now, though, let's get into it with Nathan.
So first of all, just this bag is a low pro camera bag. It's definitely not as tough as a Pelican, but I think it is cheaper and I think it is lighter. And another cool thing that it does is that if you unzip this part here, this part actually comes out and turns into a backpack. So maybe I'll show you that at the end. But for those long runs, it can become more mobile, but it also has wheels. And so a lot of this stuff you'll see, the reasons that I got this were for when I was living back in San Francisco, and I was doing a lot more walking. I'd say most of the time now that I live in Minneapolis, I'm driving to places, parking, and walking a couple of blocks. But when I was in San Francisco, sometimes I was walking many blocks, depending on where I could park or whether or not I was taking BART or whatever the transportation was. It's nice, but I like this locking part, but it broke pretty quickly. And that was just from taking it on planes, and they like slam it down onto the conveyor belt and these things break off. So unfortunately, that didn't last very long. Another reason that I got it is that it has this sleeve. So I have actually done this a bunch where I'll just put my second computer down in there, and it's an older one. I don't care super that much about it, but it just helps take some of the weight off my back if I'm carrying two computers in my shoulder bag, which is over there. Anything else about the bag? No, I think that's it. I may upgrade to a Pelican someday, but for now, this camera bag works pretty well. Okay, so I guess let's start up here. Pad of paper seems pretty simple, but I use it all the time because, number one, people don't like it when you are looking at your phone. Looking at your phone looks like you're playing a game or something. And so if you can be talking to them and writing, then that just, somehow feels more professional. And so how this usually gets used in the field is, I'll write down an input and output list and use that to help me keep track. Or what often happens is I'll write that down and then hand it to the A2 or whoever I'm working with, and then we're both on the same page. Or I'll draw a quick schematic of the room and say, I need speakers here, here, and here on outputs 1, 2, and 3. And then I'll hand that to them. And that just kind of makes everything go smoother. Some little odds and ends here. I don't think I actually use that this much, but let's look at what's in here. Oh yeah, so I've got some different formats of memory here, some different SD cards, and some hand wipes. Okay, and like an electrolyte energy drink mix, which obviously has been there for a while, but makes me feel good to have that there. Okay. This thing is so old, but I keep thinking I'll get rid of this, but I keep using it on shows. So this is old. My dad brought this to me when he came back from Shanghai on a trip a few years, I don't know how many years ago, but it has USB to a bunch of things. iPhone 5, not micro SD, but micro USB, and iPhone 4. So I used to have an iPhone 4 when I still had this, and that was great. But I still hold on to it in case, someone shows up with an iPhone 4, or they need help. And it's just kind of this fun, cool Swiss Army knife design of USB USB adapters. I have this odd kind of cable here, which I used to carry because I used to have a power brick, a battery that used this. What is this size? I don't remember. Not micro USB. This is some other different size that is less common now. There's micro and mini or something. Anyway, this is a little bit older kind. I don't have that battery anymore. I got rid of it, but I held on to this because I'm just wondering. It's pretty small, and I'm just in case one of those sizes shows up again. As you have probably seen in other people's videos, you tend to start collecting these things that you needed at one point, and then it's like you hold on to them because you can imagine another time in the future where you just need this little tool to be the hero, and you don't want to pass up that opportunity again. Okay, so I mentioned that a lot of this stuff was older, but this is newer. I stole this from my wife a while back and just never put it in my bag until very recently, because I went to work on the processional for the inauguration of our most recently elected president, Joseph Biden, and we were working outside in an LV1, and I really needed a stylus. Now, I happen to have a stylus, which is over here, but this was just kind of a fluke. Like, I used the flashlight part of this little pin more than I do anything else. What's great about this little flashlight pin is that it fits in my pocket really easily, just like a Sharpie. So I'll just slide this into my pocket, and then I've got a flashlight that is, won't get lost. There's a pin in there too, but it's got this stylus point on the end, which I never thought I would use. And then we were working outside all day long in the freezing cold in Washington, D.C., and this saved my butt working on that touchscreen. But it was really fat, and it was hard to get really close in. So now I have this much fancier stylus, which has all these different ends that you can attach onto this end. So I'm going to start carrying that now, because I'm sure it's going to happen again that I will be working on a touchscreen outside. This is just a phone holder, so it's ugly, but I keep it in here just for working on shows. Here is the power adapter for an older MacBook Pro, and I usually carry that in my shoulder bag, and then I have a tiny old MacBook Air that I use to run Wireless Workbench. And I would rather have a bigger screen, but I like the MacBook Air because it's so tiny. It's just a 13-inch. I'll show you in a second. This is also kind of new. On another recent show, I really needed to be able to get into, I think, a TeraCube, and one of the inputs was a 1/8-inch TRRS or TRS, and I realized that I didn't have a great solution for getting from the console to like a tiny headphone jack style microphone input. So the great thing about this little guy is it's cheap and it's passive, so you could come in TRS and then come out of this guy, or vice versa. So I just have this little guy. It's my solution to otherwise not, I don't have a DI box. So I just have this little guy and some short TRS cables, so that as long as the console has TRS connections, or I can, go XLR to TRS. I can get into this guy. And you would think that TRS would become less and less popular, but I noticed even on those newer, the newer hardware for the LV1 boxes, that they still have some TRS connections. So I think, these will still be good in the future with this. Oh, and look, there's a little protein bar in there. I guess I left myself a little snack. One trick for staying fed on the road is if I'm going to be someplace for a few days, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll send some food to the hotel where I'm going to be staying. So I think when I went to Washington, D.C., for example, I was going to be there for a week. So I sent a box of these and then like a box of like some caffeinated Soylent drinks and stuff like that. And then when I get there to the hotel, I have like enough food for, the entire week. This, I still haven't decided what to do with. So, Kensington lock for the laptop. This is for my old MacBook Pro though, and the new ones don't have this kind of connection. So I have this in here for my little 13-inch MacBook Air, but I almost never use it because I'm not that worried about it getting lost or stolen because it's so old. And at this point, I'm usually on show sites that have security. So anyway, I haven't decided, so it's still in there. This is great. I got this as a gift one year. It's just a clinometer, but it is, totally unpowered, and you don't need to teach anyone how to use it. So what I will do on show sites is I'll say, hey, if you hang the array properly to my design, then, you should end up at 10 degrees. So I'll put this little guy at 10 degrees, and I'll say, look, it's got a magnet, so you just stick it on there, and you'll see it'll say 10 degrees here if you were correct. So nice little thing that I use. And also it's pretty cheap, and I don't have to hand some of my phone. So my other clinometer is on my phone. And so this is a nice one to just be able to hand someone. So I don't have to say, hey, install a clinometer app on your phone, please. Okay, I'm going to have to dig some of this stuff out now. Okay, this is super handy on show site. So this is called a neck stand. It's a ripoff of, other higher quality designs called, I can't remember what they're called now. Anyway, it's just a laptop stand, but it's cheap and it's low profile. And so what I'll do is I'll put my little MacBook Air on this guy. And, everyone has so many computers now and so many screens that we're always running out of real estate on our tables. So I'll put my MacBook Air running my RF, management software on this guy, and I'll put it up here, and then I'll put my other computer right in front of it. And then, up here I have wireless workbench, and then down here I'll have my other computer running whatever it needs to run. Things are always getting edited out and edited in. And I don't have a great reason for leaving this in here now, but it still gets used sometimes. Why? Everything now needs a connection to the network, right? So I have a whole bunch of just short Cat5e cables in here, and then just this switch, this router with a bunch of ports on the back. So if I show up on show site and I want to be able to, connect my computer to all the gear, and, the AV provider doesn't have a solution for that, like, I'm ready to go. So it has happened to me more than once, probably several times, that I show up and people just have a bunch of single wireless units and they don't have any way to network them. And I need to get all of those into Wireless Workbench and do my RF coordination. And I guess that's just the kind of shows I work on. They don't always bring that stuff. Unfortunately, though, I think because of the, what is it called? QoS, quality of service settings on these, or the energy saving settings on these, they do not work all the time for Dante. So I have another little guy which I actually lost recently in my move, and I need to get another one of those, just like a little 4-port guy that can work with Dante. So normally I have not only this big one, but another little one in here, but I lost it recently. So I have some leads here for a multimeter, and I guess let's look at this now. A bunch of little adapters in here. USB. This is a XLR Y cable, a TRS Y cable. This thing is super cool. A lot of people don't have these. You guys probably know Audio Man. They make great little adapters and isolation transformer boxes. And this is the part where I should tell you that you look at this, if you look this up, it's something like $80, and you're like, oh my God, is Nathan a millionaire? Like, why is he spending $80? How can he afford this stuff? What you should know about my stuff and probably anybody else whose videos that you see and anybody's kits that you see is that this is built over, I don't know, 15 years? You know, I don't know. There's probably nothing in here that's 15 years old. But it's like, you see this thing and you're like, oh, I can't afford that. I hope I can get that someday. And then I say, okay, let me try and save $80. And then maybe over, a few months, I save $80. I get this piece, I put it in my kit, and then I work on the next piece, So it's like making little goals to save money, to, improve my own materials so that I can enjoy my job better, do a better job, and not have to, freak out anytime there's some kind of hum on the line because I don't have an isolation transformer. I have two isolation transformers actually. So I have the cheaper Whirlwind one down here that I should have pointed out. So I think I got this one first. It's not as good. I can't say why, but the Audio Man just functions better. Okay, so some adapters. Oh, and there's a nice high quality short TRS 1/8" cable in there that goes with this little box that I showed earlier. Okay. So I know there's some personal things and some more adapters in here. So kind of like a more high-powered, just USB power converter there. I just restocked these. So these get used all the time, either to clean off mostly to clean off someone's face or, make tape stick to them better. So I have a bunch of these alcohol wipes, and then somewhere in here, I have the medical tape that you can use to help attach microphones to people's bodies. But on a recent show in Texas, these got used a whole bunch because they needed to clean off, due to the health and safety standards, they need to clean off the podium between every speaker, and so I had to give all of these away. Yeah, my old MacBook Air doesn't have an Ethernet connection, so I have this little USB guy. I just have some painkillers in here. Oh, these are pretty cool. You don't see many people with these. I got this idea from Andy Lipnick. These are not very expensive, but they are much better windscreens than the common ones you see on the Gooseneck microphones that you have to use. And you go to work on really like high profile shows and all they have is the standard windscreen, and everybody knows that you don't talk directly into one of those podium microphones because plosives, right? But that's what everybody does. Everyone gets up on the stand, they grab that microphone and they put it right in front of their mouths. It's hard to stop them from doing that. If you have one of these, it will provide a little bit better performance. It won't stop all the plosives, but it's definitely better than... actually, this is an older one. I must have forgotten one somewhere. Oh yeah, look at that. These are all the wrong ones. So in my last show, I must have never gotten the windscreens off of the mic. But these should be the Shure windscreens. I have some more of them in another box. So let me leave these out to remind myself to replace them. So I'll show you the real ones in a minute. This is a cool little TRS to RCA that just does its own cable management. Why do I have this? I use this all the time because on the back of some consoles, like we see Behringer X32s show up a lot, I use this to plug in my phone just to play music. So the very first thing I do after I get a console set up is plug in some kind of source so I can start testing outputs. So I'll get the console set up, I'll just start sending music out. That way, whoever is setting up the speakers, or if it's me, then I'll know as soon as I get the speakers set up, I'll know they're working because there's sound coming through there. Also, this little Rolls guy has some RCA input, so this is another way for me to just use this as a direct box. Right, here's that medical tape I was talking about. Oh, this is pretty cool. So I took Stephen Pavlik's RF management course. What's it called? Real World RF Troubleshooting. And one of the things he talks about is how it can be helpful in the field to have a pass-through attenuator. So this is a 6 dB attenuator for antennas for gain matching. And I don't feel like I can confidently explain that right now. So maybe below this video, I'll link to some of Steven's videos that talk more about why you might need a 6 dB attenuator. Looks like I actually have 2 of them. Extra shoelaces. So shoelaces break sometimes. Hands get really dry sometimes. You know, whether this toupee clip for microphones. And I think that's it for that guy. You'll notice in this kit that I do not have an audio interface. And that is intentional. Audio interfaces are some of the biggest things. By the way, if you know of like a tiny, light, very efficient 2-channel audio interface, especially if it could also run over Dante, please let me know. I would love to find another one. I only have kind of big, heavy audio interfaces, which is why there's not one in here. So what I usually try to do is just go through the console, and most of the time that works. But I always check ahead of time. So some power supplies in here for different things. You know, a set of screwdrivers. You've probably seen these in a lot of other people's videos. Okay, I talked about these cables. Oh, this is one thing you may not have seen. The lav magnet. These are very cool. So if, especially if you are working with someone wearing a dress or in some other way it's very difficult to hang a microphone on them, these are just really powerful magnets. So you take these apart, which is hard to do with one hand. You put one side, inside someone's shirt, and then the other side you just snap to there, and then you can hang a belt pack off of it, maybe on the back of a dress or something. And then this guy does the same thing, but then you can clip a microphone onto here. So no more ugly, crappy microphone positions. Okay, we looked at that. So this is just sort of stuffed in here because it was out of here, and then I want to pretend like it was already there. I don't actually take a microphone calibrator with me on shows very often, but usually it gets edited out because I need the space. But I do take it with me when I'm going out to do measurements for subaligner. So you guys know I've been working on this project called Subaligner a lot recently. And one of the things I need to do is go out and measure a lot of speakers. And to do that, I need to match their sensitivities. And so I've been using my iSimCon SC1 microphone calibrator. Yeah. If I ever was working on a show where I thought I might need to also monitor accurate SPL, then I would also have this. Here are my measurement mics. So I have a couple of iSimCon EMX 7150s, a newer one, a slightly older one, and I have a Mel Labs microphone as well. This comes in this super cool case. Look at this little case. So Mel Labs makes miniature microphones, among other things. So this is a tiny little measurement mic, and it's great. And so it can be used on its own, on a tiny little stand, or a regular size stand. But I'll show you in a minute why I have it. But if you want to use it as a regular mic just with an XLR cable, you need a special adapter. So you just have to get this special cable from them, and then there's also a little adapter so that you can put that mic on a stand. So these are a couple of things that got edited out. I don't take my wireless microphone setup with me because it's in a rack. So when I go on the road, I leave this out. But what's in here is a little Line 6 transmitter. So this is what I found probably the cheapest way to do a wireless measurement mic and still get actionable data, basically, usable stuff. So I can take that little miniature microphone that I just showed you, plug it directly into here, and then I'm ready to go. All I need is the receiver, which I'll show you in the rack in a little bit. This is just an extension cable for that microphone if I need it. The other thing that got edited out while I'm down here is this super heavy cable tester. It's so cool, and I thought it was so important for so long to have a cable tester. I finally got one. I put it in my bag. You know, it made my bag 1,000,000 pounds heavier, and then I never used it. One time in the field, I thought I was going to use it, and I ran over and got it all set up. And then I brought it over to where we were working on the problem, and by the time I got there, someone had already figured out the solution. So, you know, it's a great cable tester, but honestly, I don't think I've ever really used it. I thought it was important, but it got edited out, and I haven't missed it. Now, what I would love to do is get a sound bullet. You guys have probably seen DcSoundOp talk about that in his other videos, and I've done a review of it as well. I also interviewed the creator of the sound bullet. The big difference between this and a sound bullet is just the size. So a sound bullet, you know, is about this big, and you can keep it in your pocket. I'll get one for myself at some point. But the point being that then you always have it with you so that you don't miss an opportunity to quickly solve a problem with the cable tester that normally you're just always this, you know. So I got edited out. What else? Gloves. This is probably the most important thing. I probably should have started with this. My hands get beat up on show site all the time. So what I do usually is this is in my bag here, but then once I get to the hotel, I'll take it out and put it in that bag. So this is the first thing I have available to me when I get on show site, because you know, usually when you get on a show site, you know, there's a big hustle to like unload the truck or whatever, and you gotta have these available. Flashlight. This is a cool like rechargeable with USB flashlight, and you know, I have a little holder here for it, and it's dimmable, and this little guy's pretty tough. USB mouse, wireless mouse guy. This, I have a super old iPhone. I think it's an iPhone 4, but it still works, and so I use it to just have a nice source of playing music, have some sort of music playing immediately once I get the console on. Okay, this is funny. Why do I have this here? This is another holdover from just doing a lot of shows in San Francisco, and I don't know why, but several times I actually forgot to wear a belt. I left the house without a belt on, and you know, you hang a lot of stuff on your belt when you're working on a show site, so backup belt is in here. Nice Leatherman in here. This Leatherman has probably cost me, you know, 3 times as much as I paid for it at this point. I mean, it's a nice one, but I accidentally left it in one of my carry-on bags several times, and I had to go back through security and pay to put it under the plane. What is this? This is a corkscrew. I just added this after a while because, you know, you are staying at a hotel for a few days and you buy a bottle of wine or something to have in your hotel room, and then you get back to the hotel room and realize that you don't have a corkscrew. So, this tiny, slim one. So this is actually an older thing that I used for, what is it called? The Bullet. So I used to have a Wi-Fi router. Actually, I still have them. I just took them out because I don't use them very much anymore. But this is the perfect size to put a Bullet in here. If you don't know what it is, I guess it's not a big deal. But I leave it in here just because it's nice to, you know, have another little mic clip. I'll probably edit it out at some point. An extra tie in here in case I forget a tie. And wow, it looks like I have 2 leads for multimeter. I guess one of these needs to get taken out. I didn't realize I had 2 of those in here. Okay, here's my headphones. So these are called Extreme Isolation headphones. They are not the best headphones, but you guys know that, you know, being the best is not really the most important. It's like, you know, having something that you're familiar with. So This is my second pair because I had one pair for like 10 years and then I think I lost them. And so I just bought another pair. They're not very expensive and they're super tough. And this cable is long and it's not springy like other stupid headphone cables. It packs up kind of small and they do isolation of something like 29 decibels. And this is great for show site, you know, because there's always a bunch of noise. And if I desperately need to hear something with isolation, I can put these on. Little battery tester. I don't actually use this that often, but can be helpful if, you know, you don't want to just like create a bunch of waste. This is actually a power supply for the Bullet, which I'm realizing now I should probably get rid of since I'm not using the Bullet that often anymore. I think I had it in here as a backup for a while and just wasn't using it. Okay, so let's move over to this guy. So these are the two things that I'm most often bringing on site is this Pelican, no, not this Pelican, this camera bag, and then this shoulder bag. I like this a lot. I got it from Timbuktu a couple years ago. So I usually slide my phone in here. I have some pins and like personal items in here. Again, more painkillers, lip balm, hand sanitizer, pins. Some food in here usually. And then I'll have several tools in here. So here's my laser distance measure. This would actually be in here. And my headlamp. Again, this is normally in here. I guess I was using it for something recently. Battery. This replaced my other battery. This is a really cool product that comes with a solar power charger. I think it's kind of a gimmick. I don't know. Let me know if you've had success with it, but I never could get the solar power charger to work, although I thought it was a pretty cool idea. I would leave it out in the sun for days and days and it would never charge up. It has a flashlight on the back, so if you hold this button, a flashlight comes on. Okay. I have enough. I'm not going to go through all these adapters, but these are just like the basic like headphone and USB adapters that I need to kind of get my computer up and running. And so I take these all the time. This is where I would normally have my iPad, which is over here, so I can monitor what I'm showing you. But the iPad I use for remote control of my computer, so when I'm doing, you know, using my audio analyzer, I can just pick up my iPad and walk out into the audience and move the microphone and keep using my audio analyzer. And I also use my iPad for playback. And here is my MacBook Air, extra face mask. And I'm probably going to have to replace this 2013 MacBook Air, 13-inch MacBook Air. It's just gotten so old, it can no longer run the operating system necessary to run the latest edition of Wireless Workbench. So I'll have to replace that at some point. And then back here is where I put my main MacBook Pro. I have a 16-inch MacBook Pro, which right now I'm using to record some videos, so you don't see it in here. And I'm just remembering, I told you I was going to show you how this whole thing comes apart. So on the outside here, I have some more pins. There are some like memory flash drives in here. Glasses cleaner, more lip balm. This is cool, you know, a Sharpie that doesn't have a cap. So yeah, I was going to show you this kind of cool feature. If I close this up and unzip the other part, then this part will come out, and then this can be a backpack, and then this part here will close up and can turn, so this could actually turn into two separate suitcases. So if I needed to bring back more stuff than what actually came with, I guess, then I could fill this up with clothes or whatever I needed to, and then, you know, just take this as the backpack part. Okay, so let me show you that rack that I was talking about, because that rack I do not take with me when I go on planes. because it's not actually plain ready. Like this would just get all busted up. It's a soft case is what I should started by saying, right? So I have this soft case Gator guy, but if it got, there's nothing here to protect it. So if it got dropped on its front, then it would just smash all this stuff, right? Okay, so here's the receiver for that Line 6 wireless mic I was talking about. And what's cool is that I have everything hooked up. So my motivation for building this was actually the interview I did for Sound Design Live with Chris Tangiris from Rational Acoustics. And one of the things he said is, if you can set up your audio analyzer in 15 minutes, you're a hero, or something to that effect. One of my big takeaways from my interview with him is how important it is to be able to set up your audio analyzer fast. So I set a goal that I should be able to set up my whole audio analyzer in like 5 or 10 minutes. And I remember even timing myself at one point, but I knew that one of the keys was having, everything kind of, as many things already plugged in and ready to go as possible. So I can, when I do a local show, I can bring this, put it on the desk next to me or on the floor, plug it in, and I'm 90% there. I basically just have to make some connections to the console, but I have my wireless mic all ready to go. So here's the wireless receiver. Here's the octa capture. I've got it labeled here with typically the mics that I put in, monitor from the return from the console, a 7150, and then Y used to be a thing I called yellow, so I need to change that. And then a power supply here, and that's it for the front. There's some other things on the back. I have this thing on the top here because, check this out. This is an antenna. I think I got this from Lou Coley as well, but a guy in Texas actually makes these antennas. Let's see if I can get this out. And this I plug in here and actually have an extension here. So I'll put this up on a stand. So I attach this to a mic stand, right? And then I put this on the other side, and this is my, one of my antennas for this microphone receiver. So what's in the top here? So I have 2 of these guys, but they don't work that well at long distances, so that's why I have this guy. So I usually use one guy here, and then this half-wave, quarter-wave antenna here. Longer Cat 5 to get from this guy to the rest of the net. Oh no, actually this used to be for the Bullet, which I don't use anymore, but I still keep it in here because it's always good to have more Cat 5. More TRS to TRS to get in and out of consoles. Some longer ones here. It's nice to have some right angle ones to clean things up on the back of the console. And then here is that, I think it's RG58 or something like that. It's just a Shure branded antenna BNC coaxial cable. Let's go around to the back of this guy. Okay, you're probably not going to be able to see super well, but right here, if you can see inside there, I have a little tiny network switch. And then down here is where all the power is at. Let's see if you can see in there. There we go. So a little tiny network switch. This is the power for the Bullet. So I used to have 2 of those so I could make a wireless link. And then back here's all the connections and the power and little extensions. And that's it. So that's everything for me and my kit. If you have any questions about how I use this stuff or any of these other pieces, I guess please just let me know in the comments below this video and I will try to respond. Thanks.